And it looks like we are live. All right. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode. I believe this is episode 7 of the DLT Sandwich. Happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day to all the soldiers and veterans out there in the world. Appreciate your service and everything you do. So how you doing this week, Tim? How things been going? Uh-oh. Can't hear you again. You got to come off mute. No? Okay. All right. So we're having some there he is.
Yeah.
My man in Kenya, Tim, what's going on, man?
Good, great. Wonderful week. It's crazy. There was a lot of activities I can't even keep up. I personally would love to talk about Zimbali later on in the session.
Yes.
Awesome. I saw those guys back in March. Never took them seriously until I saw, like, I really look into what those people are doing. It's amazing.
Yes, definitely. And I saw that video from Brandon as well, where they're interviewing Zimbali, and I want to reach out to those folks. I want to see if there's any way that we can get some collaboration going. Great interview. I forget the gentleman's name that was being interviewed, but I really liked him. He had a really great energy, great, just a good attitude.
Yes.
And and seems like they've got they've got awesome goals in mind. Really altruistic company, and
Yes.
right in alignment with us as well. So we'll definitely.
Kolimo is very enthusiastic. I mean, it's infectious, even from watching him talk.
Yeah, it really is. It is. You're exactly right. It's an infectious kind of quality where, it has that ability to inspire confidence for sure. I kind of, after watching that, I feel like, that they're likely to be successful. Looks like Phil from Savannah's hopping in here as well. So always happy to have more the merrier panel here. Hey, Phil, welcome to the DLT Sandwich, episode number 7, I believe it is. How are you doing today? All right, well, we'll wait until Phil's a little dialed in there. You just need to come off mute if you. We were having some problems there.
Yes, I'm also afraid to mute my Zoom because I won't unmute afterwards. There's a setting on your end.
Yeah, that's strange. That's the first time that's ever happened, and I didn't change any settings. But I'll have to dig in and see. Maybe it's mute. I did have to kick somebody a little earlier. Maybe it's switched to muting people on as they're entering the channel or something. But anyway, without further ado, we'll jump. My name is Jeremy. Just to introduce myself, my name is Jeremy Fletcher. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a little software company called Ledgerama. We're in the cryptocurrency business, and we built the wallet, Wallawallet. Been out since late 2020, and we're still alive and kicking and working on things every day, working on improving that user experience, working on improving our features and all those things. So busy all the time. So without further ado, we'll get into DLT Sandwich. We kind of take a layered approach. The first layer to these DLT sandwiches is the Market Mondays. Not a whole lot of drama in the cryptocurrency space. Total market cap still marching slowly down. We went from 1.3 trillion to 1.26 trillion in the total market cap, so down about 3%. Bitcoin holding pretty steady. Went from actually went up a little bit on the 7-day, from 30,360 to 30,474. And HBAR having a rough week, down about 11% from just above 10 cents, and then down to just above 9 cents, so down about 11% on the 7-day. So not a whole lot of drama though, not like in the past month where we had just these kind of screaming days of what in the world is going on, where the sky is falling. So nothing too dramatic. How's the world over? How's everything going over in your part of the world, Tim? Are you seeing more and more involvement and more excitement, more and more participants in the market, or is it kind of flat? What's your perception over there?
Yeah, definitely. We have an increase every day. I keep getting calls and text messages once people once I forward these links of the webinar to my friends, especially people who are interested in the DLT space, crypto space, they're so curious about what's going on in the Hashgraph Hedera space, and once they see such use cases coming out, like the Central Bank of Nigeria working with Zimbali to create some digital currency, then they swing their head and say, "Okay, that's interesting." We had recently the Kenyan Central Bank issue a notice to local citizens to send in their thoughts about CBDCs. And it would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting to email them and tell them about how they can use the Hedera Hashgraph as their layer one to make it happen. It could be
certainly
really interesting.
Yeah, and if they're not familiar with teams like MTech and Zimbali, then they definitely, hopefully they'll become more and more aware. Yeah, I mean, the awareness. Yeah, the awareness is growing every day. I mean, now we're starting to see Hashgraph news on things like Bloomberg and CNBC, and of course, Kevin O'Leary's talking about HBAR and Hedera, as a significant part of his crypto holdings. So yeah, I mean, you see the awareness and and the anticipation growing every day. I think it's becoming clearer and clearer. As people, it just takes time for people to discover and for people to really, to really learn about the benefits. I mean, the cryptocurrency space is so new to so many people that people.
Yes.
It's going to take some time and education, and it's and it's I feel like it's our job as the as the OGs in the space to to do what we can to to extend the hand and help those that are coming into the space that are new and curious. And that's a big part of what we're doing here on on the DLT sandwich and with these token giveaways is we want to make the tokens as accessible as possible, and just so people can see how fast and how easy it is to transact. So before we of course, just like every week on the DLT sandwich, before we wrap up, we'll go ahead and announce our jam winner for the week. While I'm mentioning it, of course, Andrew Antar over at Tune.fm was very generous in giving us some promotional jam tokens to give away to our users and listeners. So big shout out and many thanks to Andrew Antar and the Tune.fm team, where they're revolutionizing the streaming music industry and working hard. Andrew Antar is there's some question marks out in the space, because people, we want things to move fast, but I can definitely say without a doubt that Andrew Antar is one of the most devoted and committed people to his mission that I've ever met. So let there not be any doubt out there that he is committed to the mission that he has undertaken. I mean, their persistence in the space is just incredible. I mean, they've been through a heck of a lot, like all of us in the DLT space have, but they have worked really, really hard and gone through a lot of different stuff in order to get to where they are. So proud of the Tune.fm team and what they're doing, and appreciate the tokens that they give us to give to our listeners and users. Really appreciate it. So in HBAR news, I'm not going to, this is going to be kind of a short DLT sandwich today, being Memorial Day. But there's a couple items worth mentioning. Of course, definitely the Zimbali. We can get into that a little bit too. I noticed there was an interview, Brandon the HBAR Bull, who apologized for those out there that hop on hoping to see Brandon the HBAR Bull. He wasn't able to join us today. It is Memorial Day, so not sure what he's got going on, but I'm sure he's probably, hopefully he's doing something he's enjoying with his family. So wasn't able to join us today, but I imagine he'll be back next week. I did see that he did an interview with Jim NASR. And of course, Jim NASR from ACOER is one of my, is one of my favorite people in the HBAR space. Just a super talent, super well-spoken. Always enjoy watching Jim NASR, and not only the talks that he has and the knowledge that he shares, but just the effort that he's doing in the space. I mean, really, ACOER, along with Tune.fm, I've always said this, ACOER and Tune.fm are really, in my opinion, the flagship use cases for Hedera Hashgraph. I mean, you've got ACOER with the medical records, which is a use case that's near and dear to my heart, and then same with Tune.fm in the streaming music industry and doing direct payments to artists. Both of those use cases really speak to my heart. So it's awesome to see Jim NASR, who, for folks that may not be aware, I mentioned this a week or two ago, but Jim NASR is now the director of the privacy fund for the HBAR Foundation. So he is spearheading the privacy fund, and of course, privacy use cases are also something that are really important and something that I'm always keeping my eye on. And so Jim NASR is spearheading the privacy fund, and one of the main points that I brought away from that is that he's looking to bring, and this is something that he and I talked about as well, is that he really wants to bring a more disciplined approach to the grant process and to the grantees as well, and really kind of structure it such that the teams that join and the teams that get grants are most likely to succeed and most so there's a path to productivity and a path to production with these applications that if you don't take a disciplined, structured approach, like Jim said, just a good idea does not a good project make, right? So it's got to be well thought out, and there's a lot that goes. I mean, it's incredible what actually goes into building software applications on so many different levels, technical, business. And then of course, you've got to have a sustainable business as well, which means revenue. And I mean, it's just the amount of work that goes into building some of these a sustainable and stable software application is really incredible, especially even more so in an experimental and new fields such as cryptocurrency. The bar is really high. So I think it's good that Jim NASR is getting out there and helping folks structure, because I know the new and young teams that are coming into the space, I think they're going to need that guidance, and they're going to need the structure really in order to succeed. So good to see that.
Right. And
yeah, go ahead.
How about for folks out there that they don't know exactly what ACOER does? It'll be interesting if we talked about that a little bit. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, so ACOER, they're a software company. So for folks that don't know Jim NASR, he was the former chief software architect for the CDC, the Center for Disease Control here in the United States. So very high position, very high technology position within a major government body, the CDC. He was their chief software architect. I met Jim out at Hedera 18 out in Dallas, and at the time he was working for a company that was doing tracking pharmaceutical, basically pharmaceutical ingredients, things that goes in, items that go into pharmaceuticals, and tracking those. Basically, it was a supply chain use case on Hedera that they were working on. But he split off and started his own company, ACOER. And the first two products that come out of ACOER, the major ones, HashLog and HashLoad. Essentially, these are ways, they're tools that allow developers to kind of get into the space with the end goal, basically, of being able for patients, people with medical records, to be able to know where their medical records are at and be able to access them anytime, anywhere. So basically improving efficiencies within the medical record space. And then his most recent product, which I haven't had much time to dig into, but he mentioned it, was something called Rights Hash. And so that's going to be something that essentially that I'm guessing deals with personally identifiable information. So one of the big problems in medical records and medical use cases is protecting patient privacy, right? So there are laws in the United States, the HIPAA laws, and so basically which protect patients. And if you're going to access somebody's medical records, it's one thing to look at their medical data, but it's another thing to know who they are, what their age, occupation, all of this personally identifiable information that needs to be kept private, right? If you want it, but you want to be able to share your medical information, but you want to keep the private information private. So that's essentially, as I understand it, that's what Rights Hash is working towards. But yeah, so those three, basically they're building blocks towards a more efficient medical records and medical system in general.
And it's very important. It's important because when people can access these medical records, and somebody X is sick, this kind of disease, Y probably has the same disease, but they lost track of the actually data or some research that they needed to actually help them. That would be really nice to increase transparency, and it also benefits the regulators when it comes to if they want to check the entire supply chain for shortages or things that they need to check in order to improve the whole network, then it becomes really important.
Yeah, and also for for pharmaceutical companies to be able to get data about to be able to get medical data to assist them without identifying individuals, right? So it's one thing for me to so if I've got a particular disease, right? I may want to share information with that, and may actually potentially down the road. I'm not saying that this is currently happening, but at some point, we could, patients could receive some form of compensation for the medical data that they share to these big pharmaceutical companies. If I've got some condition or some disease that a pharmaceutical company is interested in studying, it would be really interesting. It would be a great thing to be able to share my information with them. But I don't need to share that, where I live, what
right.
who my family members are, what my occupation is. None of those things are relevant to the medical study, right?
Exactly.
So it would be awesome to be able to share things about them, things about the condition, tests that have been done, all this. I mean, all the blood tests. You go to a hospital and you have a blood test done. I mean, how much of that data do we as patients really understand? A lot of it we really don't understand, the results of these blood tests and stuff. But but the medical industry, whether it's pharmaceutical or whether they're clinicians, they do understand, and it's meaningful data that could be potentially really helpful.
To someone else in another part of the world with probably a similar condition. Yeah.
Right. And similarly, on the other hand, just as a patient, right? So if I have my medical records here at a hospital in the United States, right? Well, they basically have control over those medical records, even though they're my medical records, right? It's my data, right? Really, here in the U.S., I mean, the hospital controls it, and it's not always particularly easy to get your medical records either. I mean, I've run into some really frustrating situations where you're trying to access your medical records and you've got to fax this form and fax that form and prove who you are, and especially if you're trying to get two bodies to relate, like maybe like a workers' compensation organization that's handling a claim, right? And they're trying to get medical data from. I mean, it's a complete nightmare. So, I mean, really, the patients should be able to access it. Particularly, if you look at instances where, like, let's say that I'm traveling or something. Let's say that I've flown out to Kenya and I'm doing something out there in Kenya and I get in a car accident or something. If I go to a doctor there, right, they're not going to have any idea of they're not have any clue of my medical history at all, right?
History, exactly. Yeah.
Right, and especially in an emergency, right? There's no way they're not going to know anything, right? They're not going to know anything about allergies or previous surgeries that I may have had or any of that kind of stuff, right? So, but if we're able to access our medical records, I mean, I would love to have it just basically, on a card or maybe on a keychain or both, right? Something that I keep in my wallet, maybe even part of my passport or something that's got, that's basically got a link to, to be able to access my medical records anytime, anywhere. Really important, and kind of, it's kind of strange that we haven't gotten to that point as a culture yet. But things like distributed ledger technology come along and really improve the ability for us to provide services like that. So
exactly.
Right.
Transparency at scale. That's Hedera for you.
Yeah, that's it. So another big one out there is this HIPs are the Hedera improvement proposals. So a big one out there, HIP 412, which is paving the way for 3D images and music files in Hedera NFTs. So that's really cool. Utilizing the NFT metadata and being able to provide things like 3D images and music files like songs or anything else. I mean, that's a big step, right? Being able to provide these multimedia kind of files in the NFTs, very cool. And so a little bit, and in the article they were talking about Pixel Rug and a song, the hash shanty on Hedera, and they were saying that essentially to mint Pixel Rug and the hash shanty song, which is a music file, right? $4 to mint both of those, right? And according to the article, it says that you can mint up to 10,000 NFT collection. You could mint a 10,000 NFT collection for $78.
Yeah.
$78.
Quite cheap.
Yeah, for 10,000 NFTs, you're darn right that's cheap. It's incredible how cheap Hedera
Yeah.
Hashgraph is to operate on. And so the HIP 412 standard offers a new incentive for the Hedera NFT community to display through project innovations by creators that the NFT game has changed and evolved, and definitely changing and evolving all the time in the Hedera space. Also in HBAR news, looks like Ledger Live integration is coming soon. So folks that have, this has been kind of a thorn in our side for quite a while. The fact that while you could, while you have been able to store HBAR on the Ledger Nano devices, it has not been a necessarily easy process in the past. There's been some improvements that have come along in the ecosystem since the very early days. But it looks like Ledger Live is finally doing the actual integration. One of the challenges that they met, of course, is that in the Hedera space, it's a little how we create our public addresses or our account, what we call our account IDs, is a little bit different than other traditional blockchains in that essentially the create account transaction has to be initiated by somebody that already has a Hedera account. So that's a little bit different than, and these account IDs, I mean, it's not like they're basically, I mean, you can use Wallawallet to generate a Hedera account for free. There's no KYC information or any of that kind of stuff. But it looks like the Ledger Live, so their Ledger Live, they were aware, and that was one of their biggest hurdles, was essentially being able to provide users accounts. So it looks like from the interview that I was listening to, it sounds like that the Ledger has a process in place to help users of Ledger Live create the Hedera account that they can then associate with their Ledger Nano device, so they can control their HBAR within HBAR Live and without having to use any third-party application or wallet provider or anything like that. So looks like everything's going to be nestled right there within the Ledger and Ledger Live. So that's a big improvement in the Hedera space. A lot of people use that Ledger Nano. I would love to see Trezor integration as well. I'm a Trezor user. I like Trezor, but but that we're not sure if that'll
the physical offline cold wallets.
Right. Yep. And yeah, so I would love to see Trezor come along, but I'm not sure. It's been a long road for Ledger Live, so for Ledger Nano and the Ledger Live integration. So I'll be happy with that, and we'll see if there are any other developments coming down the road.
Right.
So in other community news, so this was this kind of our choose your own topic section of the choose your own adventure topic and section of the DLT sandwich. This is something that's kind of loosely related. Well, it's related to Hashgraph. I wasn't really sure what to even do. It's something that I saw. So I was looking up military use cases. Since it being Memorial Day, I was looking up military use cases for Hedera Hashgraph. Of course, there's the Hala systems based out of Syria, I believe it was, that are essentially they're using Hedera Hashgraph in some way as part of their early warning system in case there's some kind of national security issue, whether they're missile attacks. In some way, they're leveraging Hashgraph technology. But this one was kind of interesting. I saw this came out of a really popular Twitter personality influencer, King Solomon. His Twitter handle is @XRPOwl. So he's been following HBAR and Hedera very closely for quite a while now. And this was kind of an old article or YouTube video that I saw, but it was interesting anyway. And since it was military related, I thought I'd bring it up. So the Chinese National University of Defense Technology is researching the gossip about gossip protocol. So there's a patent out there, and was it patent CN 11380785 that's filed by the Chinese National University of Defense Technology, researching the gossip about gossip protocol. Now, from the article, or from what I was reading in the patent, so I'll just read this little excerpt from the patent itself. In this embodiment, a virtual voting manner is adopted. So virtual voting, we're familiar with virtual voting in Hashgraph. And votes are not actually sent between nodes, and voting confirmation and submission are performed only according to a local DAG, a direct acyclic graph, according to a local DAG account book of the nodes. The strong or visibility between events, So this is, I mean, this is right out of Lehman's strongly seen lemma. So this is basically, I mean, this is Lehman's work, right? So the strong or visibility between events serves as a voting criteria that is based on witness messages and digital signatures. So there was no mention of Hedera. There was no mention of Hashgraph. There was only this mention of gossip about gossip. And I gotta say that, you know, from what I was reading, it looks like they're essentially filing a patent that, you know, they're trying to file a patent that is essentially gossip about gossip protocol. It's like it already exists. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not really sure, you know, and this was fairly recent, so I don't know what the, you know, the filing. I think the most recent filing that I saw was related to this patent was in December of 21. So, you know, less than 6 months ago. It's just kind of strange. I don't really know any more about it other than that. I just, you know, I saw China, you know, I got caught by the clickbait. You know, the headline was Chinese military researching Hedera Hashgraph or something like that. It kind of caught my attention, but
they didn't even mention the inventor Lehman somewhere, or
no. There was no mention of Lehman or Mance or Hedera or any of that.
I understand the code hasn't been open sourced yet.
Right. No, not that I'm aware. No, I don't believe so. So yeah, we'll know when that comes out. But yeah, it was just kind of a strange, you know, just kind of food for thought. You know, of course, it was on Google patents.google.com, and we'll put the link in the description below.
Right.
And that's about all that I had this week. Really, I don't have a whole lot, unless Phil or Tim, if you want to add something else. I did want to take a brief minute. It being Memorial Day, I want to recognize Mance Harmon and Dr. Lehman Baird for their contributions to the United States military. And I just want to thank them for their service and take a quick second to recognize that. We do appreciate that. And yeah, so is there anything else, Tim or Phil, anything else we want to throw out there? If not,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, Zimbali. We didn't get into Zimbali. What am I doing?
At the beginning of the session, I saw there was a random, I can't remember the name exactly of the YouTube channel where I saw, but there was this pitch there at M&T Bank somewhere. They had this occasion where these startups would come and showcase whatever it is that they are doing, and Colimo was there, and he was talking about Zimbali. So what they're doing, they're providing these digital currency infrastructure to mint, distribute, with compliance and everything else, for any country. Like they're working with, I saw, with the Armenian central bank, Nigerian, and Haiti, in Haiti. So and they're also contracted by the HBAR Foundation, and they received a grant to mint to help develop, build, grow themselves. It is quite interesting, because one thing that caught my eye was the tokens can be programmable, and what I foresee in this area is there'll be, like, for example, in my country, if there is aid money that's normally given to whatever country, it'll ensure that it reaches the community, because that token can be programmable to only be spent at that particular vendor or people or community. There's also all sorts of these flexibilities that can be programmed, and that definitely will kill corruption. It'll help to minimize it, because what we normally see is that probably money is given somewhere, even the government, the national treasury can dispense money to local county to do A, B, C, D, and then the money is misappropriated and all that. So I foresee these coming to help to curb embezzlement of such funds and all that, because if they can be spent for a specific project and you can't cheat code, you really can't. I mean, it has happened before, but you really need to be really smart to do that. But yeah, I think what they're doing is great. I look forward to what other possibilities are possible with them.
Right, and the application, it looks like the application that they're working on now, or I'm not, do you know if, has the application been released or is it in beta? The application is called Just Pay Me.
Just Pay Me, yeah.
Right. But yeah, I've got to do a little bit more research in there. And what was the gentleman's name that was in the interview?
Collymore.
Collymore.
I can't remember his first name, but I just got his last name, Collymore.
Well, we'll see if we can't get him on the DLT sandwich one of these days. So
yeah, I saw their app. It's I'm not sure whether it's operational yet. Maybe in Haiti, their pilot project is in Haiti, where you can send your digital currency to your local peers, the citizens. You can do cross-border payments, and it's really fast, really cheap, really easy. It's really interesting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'd like to learn a little bit more about how they're doing it, because it looked like from the demonstration that I was watching, I saw that they did have a way to link to a bank account if you have a bank account. So yeah, so they're obviously they're doing both. They're both in the banking and the crypto world. So that's usually a pretty powerful combination.
Right. And people might wonder, what if the majority of people they're unbanked? What would they do? The 2 billion people, as per the stats, how do they link a bank account and they don't have don't have one? That's quite might quite be a problem, but it's easy solvable. I think they will integrate with whatever means that is present in that country, like in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. If they did such a project. We have M-PESA. It's a mode of payment which is widely used. I mean, it's just like a mobile wallet, and they can figure out how to integrate it to integrate Just Pay Me with it, so that you can deposit funds instantly, and it's super easy, and you don't need even a bank account. So it depends. It depends with the country.
So how do you so with the application that you mentioned there, what's it called again? That's
M-PESA, mobile money. PESA is money, means money in Swahili. Just call it M-PESA. Yeah.
M-PESA.
So it's a very revolutionary technology that we had over the past decade or two, early 2000s. You don't need internet to send money using M-PESA. You can use a Nokia 1310. As long as it has got a SIM card, your phone number is registered, you can send money to anybody. You don't need internet, really.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's just a phone number, right? So you're just using the telecommunications network.
Yes, just a phone number. You literally send money to another person's phone number.
Right. So with M-PESA, how do you actually get money into the system? So if there's no, so if you're, I mean, if you're dealing with unbanked, then how is it that you actually get money into the application in the first place?
Obviously, probably you work somewhere, you get paid cash, maybe 500 Kenya shillings. That's like $4. You get paid cash. There are distributed M-PESA agents countrywide. You can just walk in into any agent. They're like maybe they're very near whatever agent that's near your location. You can give them the money. They'll deposit that money onto your mobile account, and that's it. You already have money associated with your phone number, and therefore you can deposit to your bank account. You can send to your friend. You can.
Uh-oh, looks like we might have lost you. Tim, come back. Well, not sure if we'll be able to get Tim back. Hopefully he'll jump in here. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting on Tim's connection to come back to life, I'm going to look and see if we've got a winner for this week's Jam giveaway. We do indeed. So the lucky winner of this week's 10,000 Jam token giveaway is Stein. Twitter handle at Stein H Barbarian. You are the winner of 10,000 Jam tokens. So Stein, really appreciate you supporting us. Yeah, it looks like we have officially lost Tim to the black hole of bad internet connection, but that's all right. So Stein, we'll be reaching out to you over Twitter. We'll send you a message and give you instructions on how to claim your 10,000 Jam tokens. Again, this has been an episode of the DLT Sandwich on this Memorial Day Monday. Appreciate everybody joining us. If you do like the content and you like the stuff that we're doing here, go ahead and give us a like and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate everybody's time there and efforts to support us. Hey, looks like the man is back. Yep, you're on mute again. I'm gonna have to change that.
Sorry, my network went down.
It happens.
Yeah.
Well, so I announced the winner. So our 10,000 Jam token winner, Stein at Stein H Barbarian is our 10,000 Jam token winner this week. I was just saying goodbye to everybody. Is there anything else you want to throw out there before I go ahead and call it a day?
No, negative. No.
All right.
I think.
Great. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good week, and we will see you next time. Adios, amigos.